Hello.
Hola.
So it's been a hot minute
That's an understatement.
since like November, I think.
Yeah. About that. Sorry for that.
We did this really well consistently for like a couple months. Then we didn't do it for a while, and then we were like, okay, we're going back, and we did like a podcast catching up on stuff. Covered a couple other things, and then it just fell apart again.
Yeah. It really did.
Very sorry about that. You could have rotated that piece and put it down there. Keki's playing Tetris while we're doing this. What are you doing? There were several pieces you could have put down there and cleared like a line or two, but you're just like refusing.
I'm sorry.
On the side! Oh, God.
I tried. Listen.
You aren't!
I was doing good until you started watching me.
Alright.
And now you made me mess up. It's your fault.
It's your fault for not listening to me. Anyway, we're talking about Doctor Who. We were gonna do this after the first episode came out.
And now it's been the whole season.
Yeah.
And the New Year's Eve special.
We waited so long to the point where we were just like, let's just wait for the series to finish. And then we'll just do it on the whole thing. And it's been over for like a month and a half. And we're doing it now.
We're doing it now.
We promise we will be back to doing this fairly regularly.
We've kind of just been the worst at everything. It's okay, though.
Well, this will be a regular occurrence.
Hopefully.
We'll very much try our very best.
So this is the first season with the 13th Doctor.
Yes.
And she is peak Hufflepuff energy.
Yeah,
honestly.
She's great.
To be honest.
She's so great. I love her.
She's just so nice. She's super friendly and energetic, and she meets these people, and she's like, will you guys be my new best friends? Which is just protect her.
Oh, spoilers,
please.
By the way.
Yeah.
For every episode.
All of them. She's got
probably
that,
every episode of it's just every episode of Doctor Who generally.
She's got that funky 70s fashion.
Yeah, she has a really strong aesthetic.
Yeah, Jodie Whittaker, pretty good at, doing random out of context things and weird ramblings.
That's one of my favorite types of humor in Doctor Who is the out of context humor where they just say something ridiculous and then never explain it.
Just I'm sorry about the death turtles.
The army of death turtles.
It wasn't my fault. It's perfect, honestly. Beautiful, inspiring.
This one might be a little more of a mess since it's been so long since the series ended that we might have forgotten some things we wanted to say. But that's okay, because we're doing it, and it's happening, and it's just put that somewhere.
So you get mad at me for not thinking about where I put my blocks, but then you also get mad at me for thinking about where I put my blocks. So, what am I supposed to do? Exactly.
Anyway,
what's your plan here?
I really like the 3 new companions.
Yeah, they're really cool. I really like the dynamic. Okay, you know what? I can't focus on talking and playing Tetris at the same time. I really like the dynamic between Ryan and Graham. I think it's really interesting. They haven't really done anything like that in Doctor Who unless they did it in Old Who, in which case I've not seen it. I have seen maybe half of the first Doctor's episodes and
Don't
two
watch
of two.
Those.
They're not good.
There are a couple good ones in there.
But even by
just skip him. Just go to 2. 2's episodes are pretty alright.
Or, like, start
They're
out,
watchable.
Oh, God, it's so bad. Anyway, this is not what we're talking about right now. But, yeah.
Maybe for another podcast.
Ryan and Graham. It has a lot of room for, like, character development. They have developed as characters a lot. And I feel like that the longer they're around, the more that's gonna get worked upon. But even just over the course of, like, one season, they grew a lot as people and got a lot closer. And, you know, like, it was really good. Like, you know, like, Ryan's grandma dies.
That sucks.
And then that really sucks, but then, you know, like, it kind of paves the way in a way for Ryan and Graham to become a lot closer. Because, you know, like, they both miss her. And, you know, it kind of is like, you know, all they have is each other now.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And Yaz is really cool, too. She's funny, but I do hope she gets more character development, because I feel like they focus more on Ryan and Graham in this first season. So, like I think Yaz is real cool, but, like, I can't name off that much about I can't say much about her, because they haven't really developed her that much yet. She's still already more developed than old two companions who were there for like 3.5 seasons.
Never forget Susan 1 and Susan 2.
Legitimately,
the identical teenage girls.
In series 10, you know, they had the doctor have, like, a photo of River and a photo of Susan, and it's like, I'm glad you remember Susan, considering she left, and then in the next episode was replaced by a girl who acted exactly the same as it was just blonde Susan. They might as well have just gotten the same actor and dyed her hair blonde and then put her back in, and that would have been no different. So, I mean, I'm glad that you found her.
Exactly the same way. All the characters, they had the exact same dynamic with all the two characters, which was basically, I am a stupid teenager, please don't let me die.
Oh god, it's so whack.
Still not what we're talking about.
But it was so whack.
Another podcast. Once we watch all of Classic Who. More of Classic Who.
We gotta do that. We gotta stop just like rewatching Parks and Recreation.
It's better though. Even on like the 7th time, it's still better.
Doctor Who's like probably my favorite TV show, but yeah, Parks and Recreation is better than Classic Who. At least the Classic Who we've seen. Anyway,
maybe
cast is great. Love how diverse it is.
Yes, diversity.
Can't wait to see more. Like, what just a rad cast of people. Like, they're all so different from each other, but they make a good team.
Yeah.
It's good times.
Anyway, the first episode, very good.
Stannable.
Good. Pretty, like, normal stuff for the first episode of Doctor Who.
It's like, introduce the companions, introduce the new doctor, have her say some whack shit, move on.
End episode.
End episode.
Come up with some excuse for the companions to end up with the doctor. Either Doctor straight up asks them, come join me on space adventures, or something happens and they get stuck with each other for another episode.
Anyway, end
or
episode,
like
roll the credits. I really love that they didn't make any distasteful jokes about her being a woman.
I didn't
think they would, but I'm still glad they didn't.
Always good. The only jokes they really made was like the doctors with them being like calling the doctor ma'am, and then her being like, what?
Yeah, it is pretty much like, you know, normal. Because, like, I mean, obviously, if you're like, how old is the doctor at this point? Like, 2,000 or something like that. Not counting 2 billion if you're counting there's that one episode. But, like,
Doctor Who's not confusing at all. If you think about it, it's perfectly straightforward.
Yeah, but, you know, they've been around a while. Been a dude the whole time. And now when you're suddenly not a dude anymore... There's obviously gonna be some comedic things, but they didn't make any, like, bad jokes about it. Like,
it's literally just the doctor being confused when people are, like, hello, ma'am, and then
she's like, who the fuck you calling? Oh, right.
And then everyone else would be confused as to why she's confused.
Yeah, or like, just her being like, oh, I haven't gone shopping for women's clothes in a while, which is weird if you don't understand, because it's like, okay, I guess she just usually wears dudes' clothes, but then it also means that he's gone shopping for women's clothes before.
Probably for his companions.
Yeah, probably.
He had a lot of women's clothes.
He did.
Like, when he had that giant closet thing.
You're right.
I don't know
I want that back.
They mentioned it in the last season, so I don't know why 13 needed to, but maybe he just thought all the girl clothes he had were ugly.
She wanted to be like a funky 70s bitch, so she needed to go shopping. But like, she's still quintessentially the same person, so I mean, it's good that
Still
they didn't like
those core
fuck her up.
doctor traits.
Yes. And then, like, they just had, like, some good jokes about it. Like, in Demons of Punjabi. I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's okay.
But that episode, when, like, they were doing the marriage thing, and then they were like, okay, the girls stay in this room, she was like, what do?
And it was like, time to go, and they were like, what?
She was like, I guess I'm peacing out, and they were like, no, stay here. And then she was just like, oh yeah. And then she had that iconic line that was just like, my comments about body and gender regeneration are purely in jest. Which is just, I love that so much. And, like, in the witch hunting episode, she was just like, I swear to God, if I was still a dude, this wouldn't be fucking happening to me right now. I'm tired of this shit. And it's just good humor. Yeah. And I like that they still kept the, like, yes, the doctor is definitely dating any female that they spend 5 minutes with.
Switch it, like, in every other season, everyone always assumed that the doctor and his female companion were dating, and I like the fact that they didn't, because the doctor is now a woman, change it to, okay, well now everyone thinks she's dating Ryan. Which would have, I wouldn't have blamed them if they had, because that would make more sense, because most people don't assume people are gay. Usually they
got that heteronormative society.
You usually have to tell them that. So normally, like, in real life, most people probably would assume, if anyone in the group, she was dating Ryan. But no, they kept it as everyone just thinks she's dating Yas. Everyone just thinks
I appreciate it. She wears suspenders on daily.
She has, like, yeah.
Everyone just looked at her and was just like, yep, she's definitely dating Yaz. And she's honestly, at least they keep that. Really blame them for that. I mean, the doctor. I mean, the doctor's always, I doubt that on the wheel, I doubt the doctor cares or notices at all. Especially since, they come from a species where you could get hit by a bus and then wake up a different gender. For
Time Lords to, like, have partners for life, they basically all have to be, like, pansexual or bisexual. Don't know how Time Lords have more than 2 genders, because humans do, but that doesn't necessarily mean Time Lords do. They probably do. They probably don't care. They're probably all pansexual.
Anyway. Because,
Because for that to, like, work, you have to...
Like, you could literally just get in a car accident and then wake up as, like, another gender. So there's really, like... So, like, if you have a spouse and that happens, you kind of... Like, you're just gonna be like, well, guess we're getting a divorce now, like...
You gotta be flexible.
Yeah.
You gotta be flexible. It's probably why they don't care about gender at all. Because they're like,
if you can just shape shift, essentially. There's not that much that it would be weird if you did care. But then, the doctor throughout the entire show has, only really had female love interests. So, I mean, it makes sense that they're at least keeping it consistent that if people are gonna be assuming she's dating someone, probably still be a woman. Because that's really the only gender that she's expressed interest in over the course of the show. Anyway, that got off topic real fast.
Yeah. The second episode was pretty good. I don't really remember what happened in it, other than they just sort of walked around in the desert for a while.
It was good,
and shot some robots. Ryan tried to shoot some robots, and the doctor was like, no.
It's like, blocked.
And then Ryan was slightly annoyed later when she was like, it's okay, you can blow up, like, you can use weapons on, like, walls and shit, that doesn't count, it's only people. And he was like, then why'd you try to stop me from shooting those robots, like, a week ago?
And she was like, well, you see, Ryan, I had to establish the rules.
I had to come on stronger so you would understand. But yeah,
that was good. But yeah, I started writing these plot points of like the points I wanted to talk about in like November. So I said the episodes so far have been really interesting. Well, they were all really interesting.
They were.
Everyone really liked the Rosa Parks episode.
Yeah, that one was good.
I enjoyed it. Really stand that they just didn't back away from like the racism at all. Like,
hard to write an
episode about Rosa Parks
and just sort of ignore that aspect.
Yeah, but it's
kind
like,
of
they've
the
gone
only
in the
reason
past, and then like they've kind of addressed it, couple of times. Like with Bill and Martha mainly,
but they kind of addressed it like they were just like, wait, can I like walk around in history? Won't people like be a little like not okay with that? And the doctor's just like, yeah, just walk around with a lot of confidence and they'll just assume you know what you do.
But not in the 1950s in the deep American South. Because Ryan pretty much did that and then got bitch slapped.
Because he didn't like... did they like know what time period they landed? They thought they landed somewhere else, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Also, they're British, so they might not have known how
horrifically racist
They might have been less racist in Britain during like the 60s than they were in America. They probably were. The rest of the world kind of moves a little faster than America, generally. Like, I'm not saying they were a peak progressive in Britain in the 60s, because I really don't know, but I'm gonna take a fat guess and say they were a little less racist than America.
Yeah, I don't think they had segregation at that time. I'm
think
real uneducated, though, so, like, it's possible.
Most countries got... most countries, I'm not sure if segregation was a problem in any other country.
I think it was.
Probably was at some point.
Most definitely was, but I think we probably, they probably got through it faster because they ended slavery before we did.
Segregation was really just a thing that resulted from the South being mad that slavery didn't exist anymore.
Except we had it in the North, too. Did we? Yes.
We didn't have it for as long.
No, we did.
We did?
I think so. No one is safe. Anyway, we clearly don't know enough about this issue to be talking about it with much certainty, but,
Judging, I think, as soon as they got off the TARDIS, they established, the doctor's like, this is not what we're supposed to be, so I think he just didn't think about that.
Yeah. But, they thought about it real fast.
Usually they, kind of step away from the whole racism or sexism thing, which is fine, because it's supposed to be, a really lighthearted show. Yeah. They can't be, it's supposed to be, most of the time it's supposed to be lighthearted, so they can't just be,
Anyway, here's all of the flaws with America.
Yeah, they can't constantly be just, getting... They can't do that in every episode and maintain the lighthearted atmosphere. Yeah. And the doctor's probably right when he told Martha, just walk around like you own the place and you'll be fine. That's probably correct. People tend to not... that's the thing, if you walk around with a lot of confidence, people will just assume you know what you're doing.
Yeah. So, pretty accurate. But I thought it was an interesting episode. I thought it was just real cool, and then it was also an interesting spin because they were trying to protect history. And, normally Doctor Who's always just about, the companions are like, what if I step on a butterfly and, murder my grandparents? And then the Doctor's just like, that doesn't even make any fucking sense.
Yeah, usually
but
the Doctor's like, who cares?
Whatever. Time is fluid. If history gets changed a bit, it won't matter. Whatever. I'm wearing sunglasses in the 5th century. I don't care. Here's my electric guitar. And then it's like, but then in this episode, they were like, we cannot... the Doctor's pretty much like, I've let a lot of things fly over the years, but we can't let this fly. This is important. This is the one, probably, arguably, the one thing that cannot fly.
This point in history is very important.
Yeah. So,
cool.
It was an interesting twist.
Then there was the 4th episode, Arachnids in the UK, which I completely forgot about until I looked at this episode list.
I liked it.
I
It was
did
very
too.
Doctor Who.
Yeah,
it had
this is
a little bit of a mystery, and it was like, oh, humanity sucks. So,
It was like all the ones
so-
before this were really good, and I enjoyed them. But something they were a little different from what Doctor Who usually does
yeah.
in some ways. So this one was and most of the ones after this were okay, this is very much what Doctor Who is usually like, and I like that.
Yeah.
I Doctor Who. Surprise, surprise.
It's I fully support them trying different things out, but it's also nice to be this is a very Doctor Who-ish episode, because, I really like Doctor Who, and also I've been watching a lot of old Who at the time, and they're very different. They're very different. They're very different shows.
Again, another. We can do a whole podcast.
I just wanted to see a new an episode of Doctor Who that I hadn't seen before that felt like it was an episode of Doctor Who and not a shitty 60s show.
Or weird experimental. Yeah, I was it was weirdly reassuring for the episodes to go back to being more normal, to feeling more normal. I couldn't with the other 3 episodes, there wasn't so much stuff that they were there were certain plot points where I was that's something they don't usually do. They just didn't feel super Doctor Who usually does. They just had a slightly different tone or something, I guess.
They were still good though.
Yeah, I still really liked them.
I feel like the first one was very Doctor Who-ish.
Yeah.
Especially because it was the Doctor was really overconfident, and then also suffering from post regeneration.
Yeah, that
shit, and that's always fun. And then she meets this guy who whips out people's teeth and then sticks it in his face after he kills them, and then she's just like, "Hello, Tim," which is very Doctor Who. Love that for her.
Yeah, and then the second and third one were as Doctor Who. Oh yeah, another thing with the Rosa Parks one, it was kind of funny seeing American history on a British TV show. They did it. Well, it's not it was riddled with inaccuracies or something. It was just Ryan didn't know who Rosa Parks was. Remember? They asked him. He was like, she was the first bus driver.
Oh yeah.
And they were all no, Ryan.
They were like, Ryan,
get it together.
Get it together, dude. Your grandma loved her. But yeah. The spider one also, I think, was just, it was very Doctor Who-ish. It was very, humans are the bad guys, and this poor spider doesn't deserve this.
Yeah, that's usual. That's a pretty common theme in Doctor Who.
Yeah. Human. It's the Doctor's always oh, I love humans so much. Earth is great. And then half the episodes are hey, humanity's trash.
It's what 12 said to Bill after that thing with the monks. Like, I deal with humanity because occasionally one of them will be like you.
If that ain't the move. But I think my favorite out of this series was probably the Demons of Punjabi, however
You
the fuck
skip
you say
it
it.
one.
I did.
It's the medical ship one. The
Oh
yeah! Conundrum.
I wrote that down. Where did I put that?
Is another
the
one that
the Suranga Conundrum.
How do you know how to say that?
I'm just sounding it out. I also just know how to say like Tsu, because it's part of the Japanese sound system. So it's just Tsu.
Okay, so yeah, that one was also very Doctor Who-ish.
Yes.
I like the weird creature.
Yes, it was very like whack.
I like
it's just whack.
Had some fun Doctor Who quirkiness to it.
Yeah, it was a good time. Had, some self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
In there. Had that one pregnant dude that was pretty wild. That was
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I like seeing like kind of like little alien things, like things were just
I
like,
appreciate
hey,
people acknowledging that aliens probably wouldn't have the exact same gender and biological functions as humans would.
Yeah.
Even if they
especially since humans can't even decide what our gender and biological functions are.
Yeah, so yeah, they probably, especially because there are things on Earth that violate those, like seahorses.
Yeah.
So like, so if there are things on Earth that are like that, why would aliens all act like humans? Why is it's a thing I notice a lot sometimes, like every intelligent species mirrors humanity really intensely. Like they're all humanoid. Like you don't get like an intelligent species that like walks on 4 legs or something.
I want there to be now. Wasn't there like a Star Wars
Probably
thing? Now I'm trying to remember.
It's very off topic.
Maybe it wasn't from Star Wars. No, wait. It was in one of the books. It's like one of the EU. Never mind. Anyway. It is just cool to see, like, them recognizing that aliens probably don't have the same, like, biological systems that we do. I feel like it added to, like, kind of, like, Ryan's character the most.
Did it? I don't remember that.
Well, because he had the whole thing where he was the one guy wasn't sure if he was going to keep his baby or not, and then Ryan kind of, like, had a bit of a crisis because it kind of reminded him about how, like, his dad just kind of, like...
Left him.
And, I mean, obviously it's valid to, like, give your kid up for adoption if you don't think you're going to be able to take care of it.
But, like, with this guy, it was less, like... something like, I don't have the money to take care of this, or something. It was like, he just wasn't sure if he'd be good at it.
Yeah, and so Ryan was like, you could at least give it a try, and I think, like,
you almost killed your child, then you can...
And, even if it's not a viewpoint that, like, everyone would, like, agree with, I still think it adds to him as, like, a character that he has that outlook based on, like, what his childhood was like and what his background was like.
Yeah.
So I think that was interesting.
Forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Your
anyway,
favorite is...
Yeah, my favorite is probably Demons of Punjab. Punjab.
Demons of Wood we can't pronounce.
Demons of Wood we can't pronounce. Place in India becomes Pakistan. Yeah, well, it becomes Pakistan.
It was India.
In the process.
It was India.
Yeah.
It was like, and then like partway through the episode, it becomes Pakistan. Time travel is fun, isn't it? I always forget how close Pakistan is to India.
Me too.
I always think it's like
part
farther
of
to the left.
Yeah, part of me was like, I couldn't even point to Pakistan on a map because I'm really fucking bad at geography. But now I know that it's real close to India and was kind of just chopped off from
Yeah,
India.
it literally
in,
was
like,
just chopped off.
in like the 40s.
Because, like, a bunch of Muslim people moved to India, and then they couldn't get along. They literally just didn't get along with the Hindu people there, so they just chopped part of India up, and it's like, you can have that.
Anyway.
That was history.
It was like, yeah, I liked that episode because not only did I actually learn something about history that I didn't fucking know before, but it was also just very quintessentially Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Like, the jokes were good, and it was like sad but happy, and it was, you know, like Yaz's grandma, like at the end, you know, like her husband died, but then it was also like...
But that wasn't Yaz's granddad, because...
Yeah, it's like her husband died, but then, you know, when Yaz asks her later, like, have you been happy? She's like, yeah, so it's like a really, like, you know, important message about how even when something really, really fucking bad happens, it doesn't mean that you can't, you know, pick yourself back up and still be happy. And then...
I liked the twist that, like, the things they thought were the bad guys weren't actually the bad guys.
Yeah. That they weren't killing people, they were just there to, like, be witness to people dying alone. And it was very, you know, about, like, love and acceptance and peace, which is all very Doctor Who. And then there were parts of it that were real funny, and then parts of it that were really touching, and I enjoyed it immensely. Parts of it that
were really sad.
Yes.
It's great. Kablam!
Gotta get that evil bubble wrap, you know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I wrote about that episode.
Kablam is one of my favorites.
Oh, really?
The last Demons of whatever was also but there were a lot I liked the Fez reference.
The Fez was a good reference, yeah.
Now they want us to be scared of bubble wrap, you know, along with sleeping, blinking, breathing, and thinking. And Wi-Fi and statues. Gotta add a bubble wrap to it. It's a long list of things they try to make terrifying.
Yeah.
Lovely. It's a lovely show. I like the little robot, you know, like the original version of the thing.
Yeah, that was good.
It was also a very Doctor Who-ish episode. Everyone after, like, the first three were, like, really Doctor Who.
You're right.
Which makes sense, because this is Doctor Who.
Yeah, and then, like, I did think Kublam was, like, interesting. It was, like, an interesting plot line. It was a little spooky.
Had, like, the thing at the end where someone's like, I'm gonna murder a bunch of people, and the Doctor's like, please don't do that, and then they just
do it anyway. So then she's just like, you really doing me dirty here, dude.
You know that classic Doctor Who thing where the Doctor tries to be nice to the bad guy, the bad guy's like, wee, and then the Doctor's like, fine then.
Real tragic, because I really liked the bad guy up until I found out he was the bad guy. Yeah.
Anyway, the Witchfinders.
That one was good.
I like the historical period is a good setting.
Yeah, they had like a bunch of different, like, I feel like they had like a lot of different like settings and time periods that they don't really normally like work with.
They were like more specific. Like usually it's like when they go into the past, it's like such and such year, and like the year doesn't have, like, usually in the past it tends to focus on like a lot of like historical figures, not a specific like historical event or time period. Like they have done that, like they did Pompeii, they did some other stuff, but like most of the time when they're going past, it's like it's in this year, and like the year itself isn't super important, but it's just because it's like
around the time when this one thing happens.
Or, like, around the time when this person was alive, or it's just, like, yeah, it's in, like, the Victorian era and nothing is really important. We just wanted to put this episode in the Victorian era.
Yeah, but then this season, you know, like, it had Norway and, like, Pakistan and, like, rural South America. And then,
Yeah, they, like, rural South United States.
Yeah.
Rural South America.
Doesn't really, yeah.
Sounds like rural, like, South America. The continent.
Yeah, no. Rural. Christ.
Who made that word? It's not a good word.
South USA. And then it also had, like, you know,
they had a lot
medieval
of,
time.
Yeah, they had a lot of, like, normally it's like we just go back in time in Britain somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense, it's a British TV show, but
yeah.
Now they would seem to be, like, branching out, doing more time periods.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's good to
I think the witch hunting episode was just, like, fun. You know?
It was a lot of fun.
It was just kind of funny.
Alien Mud is very creative. That classic Doctor Who nonsense creativity where it's just like, you take this, hey, this, I know this is science fiction, but take this nonsense. Take it.
take this nonsense explanation for how zombies could exist.
I love it. It's one of, like, the things from, like, you know, the 60s that was, like, peak sci-fi cheesiness chaos.
I think I just like cheesy sci-fi.
It's
like,
good.
Hard sci-fi can be fun, but I honestly just find it a lot more entertaining when it's just like Star Wars or Doctor Who.
Where it's just nonsense.
They just throw garbage at you. And it's just a fun time.
Cover it with, like, they, like, wrap up some nonsense and some nice, pretty scientific sounding words and just throw it at you.
And then sometimes they acknowledge it, like in that one episode with Madame de Pompadour, where, like, the doctor, like, said something, and then Rose was like, what does that mean? And he was like, I don't know, I just didn't want to say magic door. Because it's like, that's pretty much a pathway into the show writers, like, who, like, name something, be like, oh, why is it called that? I don't know, didn't want to call it a magic door.
Why is this mud full of aliens? I didn't want to call them zombies.
yeah. And then
to, like,
King James was interesting addition.
Yeah.
He was a fun time. The doctor being just really angry the whole time was pretty good. She was just like, I'm not having anyone's shit.
She was like, if I was still an angry Scottish man, this wouldn't be happening to me.
It was like, they would just, like, straight up ignore her, be like, oh, you're a witch, or like, oh, you can't be in charge of, like, the witch hunting team, and then she'd be like, if I still had my fucking Scottish angry eyebrows, y'all would be listening to me right now. It was just a good time. You know, a little bit sad and like creepy in a couple of times, but mostly just kind of funny.
Yeah,
Stupid.
I like it.
It was a good time.
It Takes You Away. A
That
very dramatic title for more of Doctor Who's creative nonsense.
That, I think, was probably, like, my second favorite.
That was definitely one of my favorites. It has a very ominous title, and it was very creepy for most of it, and then they were just, like, flogging Cherry Void right at the end there.
And I think part of the reason why this struck such a chord with me is because I was at that point in the semester when you know how it be, where you're just, like, tired and on the verge of tears all the time, and the stupid frog in a chair made me cry.
The lonely frog.
Yeah, it was just sad, because I was just like, oh, it just wants to be friends, and it just, like, it really just wants to be part of the universe, and
if
it
you
can't.
don't understand what we were talking about, like, a nonsense sci-fi, like, you know, basically as far as you could get from, like, hard sci-fi while still being, like, able to call it sci-fi. This episode was about a sentient being that was as vast as the universe, basically just a second universe, but sentient, that wanted to fuse with that wanted to be a part of our universe, but they were just incompatible for some reason, and therefore had to live in like a separate pocket dimension. And there was this weird part that was kind of like a blend of both of them. It had like a bunch of copies of dead people to try to get people from our universe to stay there. And at the end, when they were leaving and like confronting it, it turned into a frog in a chair in a void.
It's because it likes frogs, I guess. And
so that's the kind of stuff we're talking.
And as stupid as that sounds, it was just so like I like love it, even though it's stupid. And then it was also just like really Doctor Who, and it was just kind of made me feel sad for this fucking frog void because it just wants friends, but like it can't have them, or like it dies, or like the universe dies, or like whatever. And then, you know, it was just kind of like the problems were just there because it was just luring people into this world because it was like, hey, I can, like, basically, like, give you back your loved one. And then there was also that thing in the beginning where the, like, doctor knew, like, the Yelp review of a restaurant by, like, tasting the fucking dirt.
They also spared us from having any of the doctor's, like, previous...
I kind of wanted it to.
I really thought they would do that to us.
Like, on one hand, that would be real painful, but also I'm kind of sad that they didn't.
I really did want them to, but I'm also kind of glad they didn't, because that would have been like, let me just whip your heart out and like.
Yeah, but like when they were like, "Oh, your friend is waiting for you," I was like I was like, "They're gonna do it to us. They're gonna do it to us." Like, some bitch is gonna come around the corner and we're gonna be like, ah, no.
But no, it was Grace.
Yeah, which was also good.
Grace was...
Grace was
also
good.
Painful.
It was also painful, but, like, I really wish that they had thrown in a companion there. Just for that extra kick in the face, you know? And then just also, I think part of it is just because I really desperately want 13 to, like, interact with, like... old companions. I really do.
Anyway.
I always want, like, the doctor to, like, interact with the old companions, you know?
Yeah. I really like, going back to the, nonsense sci-fi thing, I really like it because I feel like it lets people be more creative than, like, trying to make things, like, real. I feel like the new trend in fiction is to make everything, like, feel like realistic and grounded, even with like sci-fi elements and fantasy elements, which is fine. There are plenty of like really good stories like that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I just like that really off the walls kind of world building where it's like it doesn't, where like you think about it for more than like 5 minutes and you're like, what? But then like it's just like just deal with it. Yeah. No, some people don't like. I feel like I have I'm able to suspend my disbelief pretty well.
I'm pretty much able to just roll with anything. Like, I'll be, like, talking to, like, my friends about, like, Doctor Who or something, because I have a couple of friends at my college that really like it, and they'll be talking about, like, how they, like, didn't like this or didn't like that, and I'll be like, I don't know, man. I just pretty much roll with the punches.
Yeah, like, there's some people, it's, like, the tiniest inconsistencies will, like, totally disrupt their, like, suspension of disbelief, but, like, I'll be, like, maybe taken out of it for a second where I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, and then I'll be like, well, okay, and I'll just be like, okay, whatever, and I'll just go back.
Yeah, like,
because I'm like, it's a story, you can't expect them to cover every plot hole, and it's like, oh, I'm just like, it's a fantasy, it doesn't need to make sense, it's magic.
Yeah, you know, like, I'm just really able to suspend my disbelief.
And I just love the Doctor Who's, like, justification for it, which is, like, the universe is very big in theory, and we only know so little of it, so technically this could happen, right? Because, like, they're not wrong.
They're
like,
really
they're talking about
it annoys our brother whenever we bring it up, but they're not wrong.
Like, anything could... The universe is large, and we know, like, less than 5% of it, so, like, they aren't wrong. There could be a frog in a void chair that wants to merge with our universe. There could be weird aliens that clump up into big clusters to form mud-like things. There could be Like, it's possible.
Yeah, like, we don't know literally anything. We're so stupid.
Like, the only life we found has been on our planet. It has been life that is adapted to live on our planet. We could go to, like, any other planet that we... Maybe even once we're like, oh, well, life can't live there because Earth life can't live there. There could be a whole host of aliens who are adapted to live there, and they're all, like, fucking weird as hell. And
yeah, like, you know, like, people will be like, well, you can determine if there's, like, life able to be there because all life needs these building blocks. And it's just like, well, why do you say that? Why do they have to have these building blocks? There could be some real whack-ass shit out there that, like, doesn't even need, like, oxygen or, like, hydrogen or heat or anything. Well, yeah, but it's like they don't need, like, you know, they were like, oh, well, you need carbon and you need this stuff. And it's just like, no, you
life
don't.
on Earth needs that.
It's like, that's what we know we need, but, like, there's, like, a billion other...
life on our planet. But evolution, we adapted to live here. Why couldn't life adapt to live somewhere without oxygen?
You know, I just really like people just basically being able to do whatever they want and then give bullshit excuses for it, because it's like, well, who cares? It doesn't even matter.
Like, if you don't like that because you can't, because you need things to make sense for you for sense and suspension of disbelief to function, that's fine, that's valid, but me personally, I don't give a shit, and I don't like the nonsense.
Exactly.
Anyway, the Battle of Hammerth, which was the last episode.
Tim Shaw was an interesting, like, thread through the season. I didn't really expect him to come back.
Yeah, but then he'd come back but then, like, they mentioned his species again in, like, the second episode, and I was like, oh, he's gonna be a thing, but then he, like, just wasn't a thing until the last episode again.
And they'd be like, oh yeah, that guy. I feel like that was kind of intentional, though, because that's kind of what the Doctor was like. Like, the Doctor was, like, kind of like, oh yeah, you suck.
You weren't supposed to, like, remember him. It's like, despite the fact that he had a bunch of teeth in his face, you weren't supposed to remember him as an intimidating villain. You would just be like, oh yeah, that fucker.
that piece of shit guy.
It's a really good finale. I like Graham's, like, character.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, I'm gonna kill him. And then the Doctor was like, don't do that. But Graham was like, I'm gonna fucking kill him. And then he didn't kill him.
Yeah. I also liked the two aliens that, like, Tim Shaw was, like, manipulating.
Oh, yeah.
They were really interesting. I really liked their powers, and they had a really strong aesthetic.
True.
Dig that.
More nonsense sci-fi.
Yeah. And I kind of wish we saw more about, like, the effects of, like, the atmosphere on the characters.
Yeah, they were kind of just like, it's a thing. Put these on.
Yeah, I kind of wish they had, like, talked about that a little bit more. But overall, it was very interesting. I enjoyed a lot.
Good
It felt
season.
very low stakes, even though it was like, planets are being destroyed. I still kind of was just like...
Yeah.
It was just kind of like low stakes.
Just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably low stakes because the fucking... I mean, it wasn't any higher stakes, but the fucking... New Year's special was, like, really dramatic. Definitely by far the scariest Daleks have ever been. Possessing
Honestly?
the back, latching on to being, like, huge things that, like, latch onto humans and take over their bodies. Definitely way more intimidating than their, like, trash cans.
Yeah, like, we were talking about that, but it was, like, when he built, like, when the Dalek built its own body, which one to get, I mean, first off, it being a Dalek was unexpected. I did not expect it to be a Dalek.
I was like, what is this, a very new, terrifying, like, when I saw a squid thing, I was like, Daleks, but then I was like, no, Daleks aren't that big, and they don't look that squid-like. Like, you know, Daleks look like blob squids.
Yeah.
But, like, they're more blob than squid. This one was more squid than blob.
And it was like, and
like,
I was
it
just
kinda
more
looks
importantly,
like
like, Daleks don't do that.
Yeah. Well, when I first saw it, I thought Daleks, but then I was like, no, Daleks look like blobs with tentacles. This one looks like a squid where you kind of, like, busted its head a little bit. So now it's, like, more blobby.
But yeah, I didn't expect it to be a Dalek. And then...
Mind control, not a thing they do, like you said.
Yeah.
Where I was like, well, it's definitely not a Dalek. Daleks don't do that. But
no,
Daleks do that, and that's horrifying.
Yeah, it was like we were talking about like when he got his own body built back, and then he came out, and then it was like the music was all like dun dun dun, and it was just like
he was intimidating.
He was scarier. Latched onto a person's back and forcing them to murder people, not with this salt shaker looking at us suit. And I mean, like, the Daleks have never looked intimidating. They only, like, are intimidating because in, like, the first episode they were in like, the new season. And, like, the new thing, they were, like, the Doctor was horrified and it murdered, like, 400 people and, like, downloaded the entire internet and, like, drained the power out of the whole west coast of America.
They're intimidating is because they establish how, like, fucking OP they are.
They don't look scary, though.
Yeah, it's like those suits, it like, obviously was bad that was in its suit, because that makes it much harder to kill. Mm-hmm. But, like, you know, I understood that, but, like, just being in that weird, like, trash can salt shaker thing just makes them look so, they're so goofy looking.
Yeah. It's like, they're only intimidating because we know what they're capable of. If you just show them
to, like, a person who'd never seen Doctor Who and didn't know anything about it, they'd be like...
Well, honestly, if you show it to someone who's only seen the very first episode they were in, because they were not intimidating in that first episode. They literally beat the very first episode. Like, classic Who. Like, they literally... defeated it by just walking behind it and hitting it with a rock a couple times. Yeah. There's a rock they found on
the ground. They couldn't damage the 3 Daleks that they could afford. Yeah, some of them just, like, jumped on them. Like, I'm pretty sure in a future episode, people would literally just pick them up and carried them away. Because, again, they couldn't damage the 3 Daleks they had the budget for. And they literally had, like, cardboard cutouts, and to make it look like there were more of them, they'd have them, like, go around a hallway, like, multiples, and keep sending, like, the same, like, 3. I imagine that's what they were doing, because in any thing where they were supposed to have, like, all of the Daleks, like, at once, and they weren't moving off a frame, there was only 3 of them, like, max.
Yeah. I think there was 4. But, like,
so I imagine when they were, like, the Daleks are assembling or whatever, they just, like, had them go around, like, in a circle, like, in and out of frame to make it look like there was more.
It's pretty great.
Still not what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, but it was pretty whack, honestly. The Daleks' new abilities were frankly pretty freaky, and I like the fact that they're trying to build on to, like, this age-old enemy who's been around since, like, the 60s.
Daleks.
Yeah, and be, like, adding scout Daleks and then being like, oh, well, the Dalek doesn't know who the Doctor is because he's been there since, like, the 9th century and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't know Daleks could also reform if you chopped them into pieces. I figured if you chopped them into pieces, they were dead.
Maybe it's just the Scout Daleks.
Why are those the Scout Daleks? Those should really just be all of the Daleks.
I don't know. The Daleks are fucking stupid. But yeah, I like, you know, some people might be like, well, that's, like, be angry about that because, like, there's a little bit of continuity errors when it's just like they're just kind of like, hey, this Dalek has been here since, like, the 9th century, and also there's this whole new type of Dalek that we've never mentioned before, or like, even though the Doctor, like, knows what they are, but, like, again, I don't really give a shit about that.
It's like, that's like, the kind of plot hole that I can just kind of, like, laugh at and be like, haha, yeah, that's a thing, and then, like, it doesn't
take away from
like, I know it's technically a mistake, but it doesn't, like, really affect my enjoyment. It's, like, the kind of stuff you, like, just to kind of make jokes about after you watch the episode.
But it doesn't really make the episode bad to me.
It just, like, doesn't affect my enjoyment, because I can just, like, I guess I just assumed everyone could do this, but, like, apparently not. Like, I can just move on from stuff like that. Like, yeah, whatever. It's a show. It's been going on for how long? You want them to just never change anything? It's gonna contradict itself eventually.
It's like, yeah, they gotta retcon some shit, and they were just gonna add in some stuff that they never mentioned before, because what, you expect them to just keep doing the same shit over and over again? No, they gotta add new stuff sometimes. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I thought it was a very good episode. Glad nobody really died.
Yeah, that's.
We were like, from the very beginning, we were like, one of those two people is gonna die. We're like, oh, that one's gonna die. That one's gonna die. Oh, they're both gonna die. Neither of them died. It was a good time.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That was the holiday gift
To us.
After making Dalek scary again, they were like, but no one died. Also, Ryan's dad was in it. That was pretty.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting addition. I think it really shows Ryan and Graham's growth as people in their, like, relationship. Like, when he called, like Graham, like, Gramps, which he's never done. I thought that was funny. Like, Ryan called Graham, like, Gramps, and, like slapped him on the arm.
Like, acted.
He'd been calling him Granddad for like 2 days, and had never called him, like, Gramps before. He'd only called him, like, Granddad, and, like, very, like, in, like, situations where it's like, hey, you're my granddad, and then he was just like, all right, bye, Graham. So he did it just to kind of like miff his dad.
He like acted specifically more like close to Graham, even though they weren't getting closer he literally just started calling him granddad like two episodes ago. He's already like, and he just purposefully has more like chummy to piss off his dad. Like, yeah, I'm closer to my step-granddad than I am to you.
Because he's actually been here for me and is not a total shit for brains. But then, his, like, dad, I think that's an important thing about, like, forgiveness, even when someone's, like, fucked you up, frankly. Like,
But I also like that line was like, don't expect me to act like I am your son when you literally haven't been here for like 10 years.
Yeah, like, I thought it was important to kind of be like, you can't just walk in here and expect me to be like as close to you as I would have been if you hadn't left, but like I will forgive you and give you the opportunity to be a part of my life.
But we're not gonna, like, just pretend like you always have.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a good episode. It was a good season. I'm glad that all the characters are staying for, like, more than one.
I didn't even think about them only staying for, like, one season until, like, the season finale, and then I was just like, oh,
and I was like,
because I was like, they've barely done anything yet.
Yeah, the season felt really short. Like, it felt like... It might just be because, so, like, with the idea of them, like, leaving, I was like, but they've, like, barely done anything with the... Because, like, which is probably because they were planning on keeping them for more series, so they didn't, like, fully develop them yet.
Yeah.
Because they still have, like, more time to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, good season.
Good show. Good times. Only, like, 18 years late.
Bye.